Today's sell-off was very much a front-run the Fed minutes move as traders are hesitant. There could be a lot of unknowns in tomorrow's meeting minutes that will be released at 2 p.m. And if the Federal Reserve is more hawkish, we're going to have a potential problem. Well, let's measure what we know. These are the target rate probabilities for the Federal Reserve. And this is not really a conversation about September, because even as I take a look at the Fed Fund futures contracts and how they plot out for expectations in the September meeting, this is still very much a pause month, that September 20 meeting. The question becomes, what about November and December? And this is where the meetings get relevant. We have this pesky quarter point hike, not quite keeping pace, but prominent enough to become a potential problem. Same thing with December. So while the probability is for the hold, so you can see 525.50, 525.50, this is the hold column, right? This would be the quarter point hike column, and it's the second most likely. In other words, this is a distinct possibility. This is still the probability, but this is where the question is hanging over the market. If you haven't looked at this data, you can find it over at the CME Group website. It's called the CME FedWatch tool. This is how you can decode what it is that we're concerned about collectively about, hey, do we get another quarter point hike or not? This is shaping the way that I'm trading indices, the sectors, and the stocks. I'm Raghee Horner. I'm the lead trader over at the Sector Secrets Mastery, as well as the Simpler Futures Room. And we are preparing for the Federal Reserve, but there is opportunity here. Let's dive into it. First off, the standout amongst the indices continues to be the Dow. This is the trend that's been the most stable so far in this very choppy, expectedly choppy month of August. And we're right back down in the daily price movement range, which for the most part, if bought, has been a valid level for expectation higher, well, frankly, into the upper end of the daily price movement range. So I'm not talking about higher highs, but I am talking about, buy support, sell into resistance. And the way that we're defining support and resistance here is with historical volatility or the daily price movement range. So this is unique in that we look back 6 months on price action and say, hey, what is the typical movement in the Dow day after day, session after session? If you're already a fan of the hourly price movement range, which is the intraday version of this process that I created well over a decade ago, what we're doing here is asking what's the typical movement we could see in this symbol, and at that point, what kind of support level are we interested in? And it's not just the Dow that we're interested in. If you crack open the Dow, you're going to get to XLF, right? And you ask yourself, well, are there symbols in the XLF that could be buyable? Yeah, JP Morgan actually looks better than the XLF. So this would be a proxy for the heaviest weighted sector in the Dow. All right, well, what about XLC, second heaviest weighted sector in the NASDAQ? The NASDAQ doesn't look so good, thanks to Apple, thanks to XLK, where Apple is heavily weighted at the sector level. So until Apple gets out of its way, out of the way of the NASDAQ, out of its own way, out of the XLK's way, what can we do? We can look at relative outperformers within the NASDAQ. Meta is holding its own, right? Amazon is holding its own. The XLC has been holding its own. So if the sector doesn't look good, find the corner of the sector that does look better, that has better structure, that we can use the multi-trend, this 2 rows of colors at the bottom of the screen. And ultimately what I can do is focus on where the trend is up, like in XLC. Looks a whole lot better here than it does the NASDAQ, the XLK, or even the XLY, right? Okay, so this is the way we can arrange our trading life by focusing on relative outperformers. One of the best relative outperforming sectors is one that a lot of future traders love and a lot of equity traders love. Energy, right? Crude oil's moving. This could be CL. This could be the MCL Micro or even the USO ETF. Uptrend, moving down into the daily price movement range. Oh yes, this is what we want to see. We don't get these visits very often, right? So we're definitely going to look for that movement down into the gray range, right? Into the gray range. And from there, in crude oil and in XLE, we'll look for opportunities to buy. We'll look for that upside follow through. So here's XLE in another corner of overall relative outperformance that we want to focus on. So don't worry about stocks that are getting crushed trying to find a bottom. Find stocks that already are moving higher and pulling back. Gang, this is buy the dip, but this is buy the dip using volatility. I hope this list gives you something to work with as we go into the FOMC tomorrow. These are the kind of trades that I'm putting on in the Simpler Futures room and in the Sector Secrets Mastery. This is why we've had, I think, 4 swing winners in the Mastery. We've still had very productive day trading in the Futures room. So is this going to be the way we're going to have to handle the rest of the year? I'm afraid so, or hey, it's actually great because it's been good trading so far in August. We just have to be discerning and go through the process that I went with you here in this video. Focus on short-term swings and or day trades. And that's going to continue to work likely well past August. All right, gang. We'll talk a whole lot more about day trading later on this month. I'll let you know I do have a important update coming at you all for day trading, what it is that I'm doing. But in the meanwhile, let me just show you what we're doing now because proof's in the pudding. Hope this helps. If you have any comments, leave them below. I'll see you in the next update. Hey traders, Raghi from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.